Hey guys, TrainDC here, coming at you with another video. One point of speculation that re-emerges every single Pokemon generation is, will we see a brand new Eeveelution introduced to us? And for the past 3 generations, that answer has been known. We haven't seen a new Eeveelution since 2013 when Pokemon X and Y came out and introduced Sylveon to us. And that felt like a more special case because Sylveon was the introduction of a brand new typing, the Fairy typing. And since then, every single generation, people are wondering, will we see a brand new Eeveelution get introduced? And I feel like there are really 2 camps when it comes to this. There's the camp that thinks that we're getting a new Eeveelution every time around, and then there's the naysayers, the one who say that, yeah, we're never going to see a new Eeveelution, it's just not something that the Pokemon Company is interested in doing anymore. I kind of fall into the middle of this argument, the middle of these 2 camps, because while I don't think an Eeveelution being introduced is completely out of the question, I do think it's a lot less likely now than it was before, and I really don't understand why. If we go all the way back to Generation 1, we had Eevee, this brand new Pokemon introduced to us. Well, obviously it was brand new, it was a part of the original 151, they were all brand new, but nevertheless, we have Eevee, this Pokemon introduced to us that depending on the stone you give it, if you give it the Fire Stone, it will evolve into Flareon. If you give it the Water Stone, it will evolve into Vaporeon, and the Electric Stone will make it evolve into Jolteon. It was cool. It was the first really ever split evolution Pokemon. Then in Generation 2, they expanded on this even further, introducing the Dark type Eeveelution in Umbreon, the Psychic type Eeveelution in Espeon, and then Generation 3, for whatever reason, didn't introduce any new Eeveelutions, but come Generation 4, come the time for Diamond and Pearl, and we get 2 brand new Eeveelutions. You have Glaceon, the Ice type Eeveelution, and Leafeon, the Grass type Eeveelution. Generation 5, of course, introduces no Eeveelutions, when Generation 6, obviously, as we talked about before, introduced Sylveon and the Fairy typing to the world. But since then, we've had no brand new Eeveelutions, and I really don't understand why that's the case. I feel like Eevee is a Pokemon that is obviously very special. It's the only Pokemon that has that many evolutions to it, and obviously it's a Pokemon whose DNA changes drastically depending on the evolutionary method, giving it a brand new typing. And because of that, I personally feel like Eevee should have an evolution of every single typing. I felt this way for years, and I thought it'd be a matter of time, and eventually we'd probably get there over, 10 generations time, let's just say. But for some reason, over the past 3 generations, there have been no Eeveelutions introduced to us. Apparently that almost wasn't the case. Apparently in Pokemon Sun and Moon, if you guys remember, there was a lot of speculation that we were going to get a flying type Eeveelution. I was on that bandwagon, I was on that hype train. I 100% believed that a flying type Eeveelution was coming in Pokemon Sun and Moon. It just felt like the stars were aligning for it to happen. There were teasers happening within the anime. The new movie that was coming out, Pokemon The Power of Us, showed this female trainer who was a part of the main cast put her Pokeball up to the sky, and her main Pokemon was Eevee, and everyone thought that that was teasing a new Eeveelution that was going to be a flying type. But then that never happened. Well, apparently that was supposed to happen. As we learned with the Terra League, Game Freak was actually planning to introduce a flying type Eeveelution to us, but they ended up scrapping it because its design was quote unquote too similar to fan art, and they couldn't think of a unique enough design, and said that if they were to ever introduce a flying type Eeveelution, they would have to use significant budget to make it unique enough from fan art, which I feel like is just the dumbest excuse out there, but that's neither here nor there. But in all honesty, I feel like that transcript is a little bit telling as to why we haven't gotten an Eeveelution over the past 3 generations. Eevee is a Pokemon that is pretty heavily highlighted within the fan art community. I feel like Eevee is probably the most drawn Fakemon Pokemon out there because everyone is trying to make Eeveelutions for every single typing, that maybe Game Freak just feels like it's not worth it to try to design a brand new Eevee, because a lot of the designs they would do are out there in some capacity within the fan art community. Do I think that's good logic? Do I think that's a good reason not to introduce a new Eeveelution? Absolutely not. I think that's rather dumb, quite frankly. But nevertheless, I honestly think that's probably the reason why we haven't seen a new Eeveelution. The point of this video, and the reason I'm bringing this up today, is are we going to see a new Eeveelution in Pokemon Winds and Waves? And quite frankly, I feel like it's 50-50. Like, honestly, I'm leaning more towards no, like 60% chance of it not happening, 40% chance of it happening, just because of the the trend we've seen over the past few generations, but I really feel like there's absolutely no reason for them not to. If they wanted to introduce a flying type Eeveelution in Sun and Moon, a tropical adventure, it'd be nice to revisit that topic now, because what are we getting? A game that is very similar to Sun and Moon in many ways. I've talked about this in a plethora of videos, but there are so many parallels between Winds and Waves and Sun and Moon. It'd only be apropos if they decided to revisit the idea of a flying type Eeveelution. But not only that, I feel like there are a lot of Eeveelutions that could be introduced in this game. I mean, quite frankly, you could introduce any of the 18 typings and I'd be happy with that. But as it stands right now, we only have 8 Eeveelutions for 8 out of the 18 typings. There are 10 more Eeveelutions that could be introduced to us, and I feel like what better way to start it out with than with the poison type or the flying type or the dragon type. The dragon type Eeveelution is one that people talk about all the time. I just really don't understand why Pokemon, especially in 2018 when Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee came out, and since then, they've really pushed Eevee as kind of their secondary mascot. Like, Pikachu is the mascot of the franchise, right? Hands down, there's no argument there. But they started to push Eevee at the latter parts of the 2010s and into the 2020s as the secondary mascot for the franchise. And if that's the case, why wouldn't you want to do more with Eevee? Like, yes, we did get that Gigantamax form for Eevee in Sword and Shield. Do I really care all that much about that? In all honesty, no, I really don't. But they haven't done anything else with the Pokemon since then. Like, everyone wants to see a new Eeveelution. The Pokemon company knows this. They'd have to be stupid not to know this. But for some reason, they just haven't introduced one to us, and I really do feel like the reason why is probably because they don't want to allocate budget to designing a new Eeveelution, because there are so many fan arts out there of an Eeveelution of all 18 types that they just don't feel like it's worth their time and money to try to create something unique enough to stand out from those fake mon. But the question I'd have to ask is, do you really need to stand out all that much? Like, there are Pokemon that are strikingly similar to fake mon out there. This is something that does exist. I feel like if you have that mindset of, oh, we can't make a Pokemon because there's a fake mon based on this Pokemon or based on this animal, then what Pokemon are left for you to make? Like, is that why we haven't seen a platypus Pokemon yet? Is that why it took us so long to get a dolphin Pokemon? Because people had fake art of dolphin Pokemon that you had to find a unique way to make a dolphin Pokemon to distinguish it from the fake art? That just seems like a rather illogical way to look at things. Just because fans are making art for your franchise or making fake mon out of Pokemon that don't currently exist doesn't mean that you can't attempt to make your own version of that Pokemon. And if there's an element of its design that's similar to fan art, that's okay. It doesn't mean that you copied it. You can still make it different enough to distinguish it from the flying type Eeveelutions that are out there. It's not like there's 50, 60, 70, 80 flying type Eeveelutions that are swirling through the web right now that people are talking about. If you come out with an Eeveelution design tomorrow, guess what? That's going to be the design that people are talking about, that people are excited for. So I really feel like you not making a new Eevee, a new Eeveelution, because there's a lot of fan art out there is really not a valid excuse. Like, just come up with a cool, unique design and put it out there to the world, and that will be the design that everyone latches on to. Anyways, let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about all of this. Do you guys agree with me that the reason why we haven't seen an Eeveelution in 13 years at this point is because of the fan art that is out there? They just don't want to make something that's too similar to fan art, as we know with the flying type Eeveelution, so they just haven't attempted it since. Do you agree with me that if that is the reason, it's kind of illogical? Just come up with a cool design and people will latch onto it. And lastly, do you think that Pokemon Winds and Waves Generation 10 will break the cycle of no Eeveelutions for the past 3 generations? Or do you think it's just going to continue that cycle even further? Let me know down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to see more content like this from Trainer DC. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.